This is a DIY electronic watch kit with an LED digital face. After taxes, delivery and all discounts, it cost me just £4.45. Now, usually if I'm wearing a watch, you'll see me in this one. This is an LED watch that was a gift from my brother. As you can see here, it's actually in binary. And if I press the button, it illuminates and we can see the time. As you can see, it's currently showing a time of 10:16. That's because on the top row we have 8 plus 2 for 10, and on the bottom row we have a single LED here lit, which is the 16. So I'm going to see if we can replace this watch. I think it'll be fun to build our own. So let's take a look inside and see what you get. Okay, so we have a very neatly packaged little selection of components here. So of course we start off here, we have our PCB where we're going to have our display, our controller here, which is likely to be some kind of microcontroller, the battery terminal and a few other passive components, and interestingly a clock crystal by the looks of it just here. If we look in our bag of components, we can see we have screws, which are for fixings, but we also have the switches, a resistor, some capacitors, and importantly that clock crystal, as well as the battery terminal. And I'm going to leave that in this little bag for now. We also have an included battery, which is nice. Here we have the microcontroller and our clock display. The container for the PCB and the battery and all the gubbins. And of course, we have a wrist strap as well here, and so I chose the black one. All importantly, we have some instructions here, and these look pretty good. They appear to be in English, which is helpful. It means I will be able to read them. There's some detail on how to solder, our parts list, which I've just gone through already there. Turns out we have two different types of capacitors, a 104 and two 22 capacitors, our crystal, buttons and so forth. And as I mentioned, this is indeed a microcontroller. We'll look a little bit more closely in a moment, see if we can work out what one. And we have our instructions here on what to solder to where. On the rear side, we have the same instructions in Chinese, but I'm not going to need those. Very happy to have the English ones here. And I think it's quite nice actually to have them double-sided like this. It means it's not all on one side, so we don't have to look for the English language instructions. Very nice. Interestingly, it does include a little screwdriver for assembly. I think that's quite a neat little inclusion. And there we go, it's just listed on the parts list just here. So let's get started, and as it recommends, we will start with the resistor here. So we only have one resistor in this kit. According to the instructions here, it's a 1K resistor. And as it mentions here, there is no positive or negative direction. We can put it around either way. And the resistor goes just here. Okay, so it looks like that actually lifted very slightly while I was soldering. So what I'm going to do here is go ahead and actually press it on the table here as I resolder the leads to let them pop through, like so. Try and get it a little bit flatter to the board, and I'm more happy with that one. It would have been absolutely fine at that level, but I think it looks a little bit neater now. It's a bit flatter down on the PCB. It's a very thin PCB for this, but of course it is a wristwatch, so you don't want something too large. Next up, it recommends we do our clock crystal, which is marked Y1 on the board, and it's this little can here. It says without distinguishing direction, so again, it doesn't matter which way around we put it, but it does say leave the pins longer. As we can see on the PCB, there's actually plenty of room for it. So what we're going to do is just bend the ends of the crystal here, so just like so. And we're going to put the little ends through the board. Next up, we are going to put in our microcontroller. And this time we don't have a socket for our microcontroller, so we want to be a little bit careful when we do this to make sure we get it in properly and carefully. And let's have a little look on it. Actually, I can't see any printing whatsoever on this. So it's not just in the picture where they've removed it, but it appears, yeah, this is an entirely anonymous chip. So it'll probably be something by STC, Atmel, or PIC. Could be one of those here, but no idea just by looking. Maybe that's an interesting project in future to work out what chip it is and see if we can get anything off of it. But since they've gone to the bother of making sure to leave the printing off the chip, it's possible that it's a custom controller. It's quite likely they've encrypted or prevented downloading of the firmware. And we need to make sure this goes in the right way round. And as it shows here, there is a little notch on the IC. And we can see that just here on the left-hand side, and that should line up with the notch on the silkscreen outline just here. So we need to make sure that the chip is round the right way. So that's slotting in quite nicely there. Didn't need to bend the legs on this, it's not going into a socket. So we're just going to push it right the way down, flat against the PCB, and then we're going to solder on the other side. One last check to make sure that notch just here is matching up with the silkscreen. Next up, we need to put the tactile switches in S1 and S2. So it looks like we have those either side of the resistor here. Okay, next up, it tells us to install our ceramic capacitors, and it says the 104 here should go in C3 and the 22s in C1 and C2. And again, there's no specified polarity for these either. Okay, and so that's kind of interesting here. It turns out, it seems that I've been given two 104 capacitors and only one 22 picofarad capacitor. So you can see on the instructions here, we are supposed to have one 104 and two 22 picofarad. And we can see that in the bill of materials or parts list here. But if we look at what I've been given here, and although the printing on the left-hand one is pretty poor, that's definitely a 104, not a 22. So I'm going to go look in my parts bin and see if I have any appropriate 22 picofarad capacitors that we can use instead. Okay, so I found this little bag here of a few 22 picofarad capacitors, and these are going to be used to balance for the crystal here. So I've got a multifunction tester, and we can actually make sure these are coming out at 22 picofarads, because these are just from a cheap mix set I had. Hopefully you can make out the 22 on there, so these are indeed 22s. And pop them in here. And this one's 21.73, 20.12, 20.93. We can of course check the one that actually came with the kit as well, 22.54. So I'm going to use these two here. It doesn't really matter which two, but I'm going to use two from the same set that I had in this little baggie here and put the spare one back. And I'm actually going to add this other one from the kit to my parts bin as well, so that one can go in there as well. So as it said in the instructions, we need to put the 22 picofarads in C1 and C2. And that is actually marked on the board for us, which is handy. Okay, and as for the 104, while I have the test here, I might as well test that one as well. That one's coming out as 33 nanofarad, and this one is coming out at 36 nanofarad. So that's been my experience actually with these 104 capacitors just generally. They tend to be pretty low quality. So that 104 is in place as well. Now, I do have some better rated 104 capacitors, multi-layer capacitors, but in this case, this one will be perfectly fine. It's just providing power rail stability for the main IC here. So that should be absolutely fine. We're running from a nice stable battery anyway. Next up, we want to install the battery holder. And it turns out there was another 22 picofarad capacitor in the bag. I just didn't spot it. I'm sure this one is perfectly fine as well. There you go. So I could have used the ones provided with the kit. I have actually soldered in my own now because I didn't see it in the bag. But I'm going to keep this with my other spares then. So we just got a spare 104. Let's put the battery clip in like so. Very important that it goes around this way with the opening on this side and the sealing tab here. And of course, the instructions are very clear about this. Make sure you leave the gap there so the battery can be inserted. It seems actually I have skipped ahead here. So we're supposed to have done the display as well. So let's put the display in as well. We can see that the dots on the display are facing down. So the decimal place is at the bottom. So we can install that like so. display and battery, and it says we need to install the battery. And as it shows you, the battery casing goes up and the button side goes down. Next up, it says we need to install the circuit board into the upper casing. Tilt it a bit and install the switch direction first. So we have the casing just here. Then we install the bottom shell as I've done, and then we secure with 4 screws. Don't use too much force, just tighten it in place. I mean, this is pretty well clipped actually, but of course we want the screws to make sure it doesn't fall apart. Okay, and it seems we've been given a spare screw, which is quite good. Then we need to go ahead and install the watch strap. And there's actually a little pull thing here. I didn't see that. And actually, if we look carefully on the diagram here, you can see that is indeed the case. Much easier. So we have set minutes and set hours. We can press button 1 or 2 to turn on the screen. So just like my other watch, I do need to press a button to have it turn on. You can see it's taken us a couple of minutes to pop that in the case and attach the straps. And then we need to press and hold S1 to adjust the minutes, and press and hold S2 to adjust the hours. So there you go, it seems to just count up with the minutes. And if we hold the bottom one here, we can go through, and it seems to be a 12-hour clock. There's some additional options we have here. If we want a 24-hour clock, we can short these 2 pins here together. And if we want to keep the display on at all times, we can short these 2 pins there together. So both of those could be nice little options. We also have a schematic diagram, which shows how everything is wired together. I think that's quite nice as well. So there we have it. I think this is a really nice little watch. Let's try it on for size. So there we have it, a nice little watch. I think I'm actually probably going to stick with the one that was gifted to me by my brother, but I think this is a nice little project kit to assemble. It might be nice to keep the display on, although of course it will go through the batteries at a much faster rate, but that's something you can consider, of course, following those directions here by shorting those 2 terminals just with a little bit of solder. And of course, if you like a 24-hour watch, you can of course support that as well. But for now, I hope you found this video about the DIY electronic watch kit interesting, and I hope to speak to you again soon in the next video.